Afo, whirlwind few months, but your reflections on under 20s World Cup and then onto your Prem debut, it's all come, but it's been, I guess, as a result of a lot of hard work over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a good summer. Was tough at the start as well because obviously last year I had problems with injuries, and the debate before I went to the World Cup was whether or not I was even going to go. Just around that, I hadn't played many games last year, and whether or not it would be good for me to chuck me straight into a World Cup, but then to go away and to win it with a group of boys who I'd call my brothers is something special. And then part of the agreement to go away would be I'd only have a week off coming back in and hit the ground running to pre-season. Had a good pre-season, which was very good for me and set me up nicely to be involved in the first two fixtures so far of the season, which is good.
And how much did, I guess, that those injuries you spoke about there, how much did the frustration of those drive you to where you are now in terms of wanting and playing in these bigger games?
At the time, obviously, it was nothing but frustration. But looking back now, the time I was able to use with the S&T coaches and the coaches have actually helped me a lot. Simple things like development in the scrum, which is weird because you think I'm injured, that there wasn't a lot I could do, but actually stuff like setting the foundations well, like when I was able to get back squatting, getting my key lifts and my strength in those heavier and better, which is good, and my neck and core and my back strength as well. I did some really good work with Trev, Tiger and Tobin, which helped me quite a lot. So obviously at the time it was frustrating, but now looking back on it, it's helped me a bit. It's built some resilience in me as well. Obviously to have them back-to-back long-term injuries, and for both of them to be my first ever long-term injuries, I think has set me up mentally to be stronger.
And you talked a little bit there about kind of that mental resilience. What is it outside of rugby, I guess, that helps you build that? Is it family relationships? You mentioned like your really close relationships with the players in the group as well.
Yeah. What was nice was having that support group outside of rugby. Obviously, I lived with Rory Taylor and Gareth Blackmore, and it was like a weird time last year where we all sort of simultaneously got injured, and we were all there for each other. We'd help each other out, which was nice, and it was almost nice to like not be alone. So obviously, my family, my friends, my loved ones, my girlfriend helped me, which was all quite nice, just to be my support and pick me up sometimes when I was a bit down.
And fast forward to now, obviously you've had to do a huge amount of work to get to this point. Maybe talk to me a little bit about the impact of George Skivington, obviously head coach, director of rugby now, but also Trevor Woodman, World Cup winning prop. I guess he's a pretty good person to be working with.
Of course, yeah. Skivs and Trev are both unbelievable, I think, at what they do. I think they understand the game very well, especially the set piece, the maul and scrum. And like I touched on as well, coming out through injury, to be able to understand like the technical bits of it, whether that was in the gym, like I touched on before, or on the field as well, being able to review footage and understand things better with those coaches was very helpful.
Does Trev remind you he's a World Cup winner? You obviously born a year later than the World Cup.
No, Trev's humble. Trev's humble. You wouldn't even know, like day to day walking around, that he had. He's humble. He helps us, and he's good crack around the building as well.
You've had, as you said, you've had a decent time off it. Now you're growing onto it, but let's go back to the beginning of why did you get into rugby, and what was that journey for you?
So growing up, I enjoyed playing all sports. The main two probably would have been basketball and football growing up, and where I was from, rugby wasn't really a thing. I think there was maybe only one other rugby player in my school, and so at the time I was playing football as my main sport, basketball and the other sports for fun. And it was my friend, who was probably the only other rugby player in the school, who took me down to the local club and gave it a shot from there, and eventually fell in love with it and decided to pursue it.
And you've had to kind of persuade your family to follow rugby a little bit more, haven't you?
Yeah, so like I touched on, the area I'm from, I wouldn't say it's massively rugby, and my family are a more football sporting background. My dad and my younger brother still used to play. Unfortunately, injuries have stopped that. But yeah, big football loving family. My older brother played basketball as well. So yeah,
Pretty sporty family.
yeah.
Obviously, the London Irish move came around quite quickly. They obviously played a huge part in bringing you into rugby as well. But I guess how easy was it when you knew that George and wanted you to come here and work with Trev? How easy was that decision to get here and with the aim of pulling on that cherry and white jersey?
Obviously, it was tough, even just around like the club going under, and at the time it was in between our pre-warm-up games of the World Cup and going to the World Cup in my first year. So obviously, I was quite busy as well, and was trying to focus on playing, and as well as trying to sort like what was going to be my future out. I think the main thing that sold it for me is at the end of the day, I'm a young type 5 forward, and my decision ultimately was based on where I was going to get the best development in terms of my scrum and my maul, which are probably my first jobs as a prop. And I thought, or I knew Gloucester was definitely the place to do that for me.
Let's talk about that viral moment, I guess, the little wave to Ellis Genge. Fierce competitors on the pitch, and you had that little bit of fun after the game as well. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Of course, well, it was nothing like malicious or arrogant. Like you said, it was a battle on the pitch for that sustained period of time, and we were both going at each other as well. And as you saw after the game, it was that mutual level of respect, laughing and banter, which was quite nice as well. And like I've touched on in a few other articles I've done, Ellis Genge is one of my role models as well. I think he's the example of a modern day prop, someone who's got physical capabilities of a back rower around the pitch and who can scrum. So it was a special moment on the pitch, and the wave was just a bit of fun, spur of the moment thought, which isn't really me. Wasn't anything arrogant or malicious, but yeah, we caught up off the pitch, and it was smiles and hugs, which is nice.
I know from speaking to coaches that you're incredibly diligent in what you want to do this season. What personal markers or personal bits of progression have you kind of put in place for yourself to try and continue your development this season?
Well, obviously, like you said, I'm young and all of this is new to me. So this season, I just want to keep learning to be the best version of myself, and I'm fortunate as well to have in this building a coach for almost every specific thing. Like we've got Skiz for the maul, Trev for the scrum, Dom for defence, Lights for attacks, TR for lineouts in general. And the beauty of that is after sessions, after games, I can keep reviewing and previewing before games as well, just to make sure that I'm still learning and I'm still pushing myself to get better every week.
And whilst we talk about learning, that game against Bristol, big learning coming up against big players. You had an amazing battle with Ellis Genge. Everyone's seen the little wave, but that's part and parcel of growing into the game, isn't it? And the fun ultimately. We all do. Yeah. You do this for enjoyment. We want to win, but rugby is for people to enjoy up and down the land. How do you kind of, I guess, you're quite quiet and unassuming off the pitch, but how do you almost transform yourself to be in the zone on the pitch?
Well, on the pitch, ultimately, the beauty of it, you've got a team around you, and we've all got the same goals, and that's we want to win. So being able to turn it on is just like you switch on with the team. You've worked hard during the week, and you've got one opportunity. You've got 80 minutes to go out on the pitch and perform to the best of your ability. So ultimately, it's whatever it takes to do that.
This weekend, another massive fixture. Bath are Gloucester's fiercest rivals. How much are you looking forward to that West Country derby?
I'm really looking forward to it. I remember being sat in the stands last year and watching, and the atmosphere was crazy, and I was dreaming of being on that pitch. The shed were buzzing, so being able to be involved in this would be something special for me, and I'm really looking forward to it.
First thoughts that come to mind when I read out the words: Gloucester,
Home,
the shed,
excellent, buzzing,
Trevor,
Woodman.